So, good afternoon, everyone. So, allow us to present our genre analysis about the popular literature, The Fault in Our Stars. So, this was published in 2012 and was adapted to a movie in 2014. So, this was written by John. So, to introduce, so, John Green's The Fault in Our Stars of 2012 tells the story of Hazel Grace Lancaster, a 16-year-old with cancer who meets Augustus Waters, a cancer survivor. So, the main characters of this love story of this literature is are two people named Hazel Grace Lancaster and Augustus Waters, both of which are suffering from a terminal illness, which is cancer. So the relationship unfolds with humor and deep reflection, exploring themes of love, mortality, and identity. So using a story within a story approach, Green highlights how literature shapes our understanding of life and suffering. So unlike typical illness narratives, the novel focuses on the characters' full humanity, showing how they find meaning in everyday moments despite the shadow of loss. So this poignant yet honest portrayal invites readers to reflect on fragility, resilience, and the courage to love. So basically, this story is a typical love story, but with a twist where the characters faces uh, a threat, which is death itself. So to present the next slide.
We'll be talking about the genre characteristics of the literary piece named The Fault in Our Stars. So in here we have the young adult or YA fiction. The book fits this genre because Hazel and Augustus are teenagers who face difficult challenges and learn more about life, love, and themselves. Next, the contemporary realistic fiction. So this book fits because everything in the story, like Hazel's illness, her family life, and her trip, is something that could happen in real life with no magic or fantasy. Next slide, please. And also, we have here romance. So the book matches this genre because the main part of the story is Hazel and Augustus falling in love and supporting each other. And lastly, the tragedy or illness narrative. So the book fits this genre because Hazel and Augustus both have cancer, face many hard moments, and experience loss, which makes the story emotional and heartbreaking. And next na po.
Now, moving on to discussing the literary elements that link to genre analysis. I'm going to introduce the one of the characters of the novel. So first is Hazel Grace Lancaster. She was a thoughtful 16-year-old girl living with a terminal cancer and trying to make sense of life, love, and her own fears. And the second one was her love interest. This was Augustus Waiters. He was a charming, confident survivor of cancer who fears being forgotten but learns through Hazel to appreciate life's quieter and genuine moments. And Isaac was the close friend of Hazel and Augustus who goes blind and experiences heartbreak, showing both deep pain and unwavering loyalty. And Peter Van Houten, the bitter author whose attitude contrasts with the hope his book gave to Hazel and revealing the gap between his talent and his personal failures. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to discuss about the literary elements plot. Okay, so this revolves around Hazel, a 16-year-old with cancer, and meets Augustus, which it it talk in the exposition. Then they met at the support group and they eventually fall in love and their connection and relationship deepens. So they decided to travel to Amsterdam to meet Hazel's favorite author. But however, the trip um, ta- takes a painful turn, which the author disappoints them because Augustus reveals that his cancer has returned. And as his condition worsens, Hazel remains by his side, even sharing pre-funeral with close friends. And in the end, which the resolution part, Augustus passes away and leaving Hazel's heartbroken, but ultimately they grow stronger and finding sense of closure through love and experiences. And for the setting, next slide please. Next slide please. Thank you very much. Okay, so here I'm going to discuss about the places they went to, or it was a place where the novel we will feel the vibe of the novel. Okay, so first was Hazel's home. This was the protective place where Hazel reflects on her life and her fears. Second was the church basement. This was the awkward room where she meets Augustus and starts forming new connections. So, Augustus' house, they lived the space that gives Hazel the comfort and helps the relationship. And of course, the hospitals where the attention or the harsh reality was shown of the illness and vulnerability. And of course, the Amsterdam, it was the city that lets Hazel and Augustus um, travel and they explore and grow and experience joy. And the Orangery restaurant where was the spot where they share an intimate and happy moment. And Vance Hosten House where the place was a bit messy and it reflects the disappointment and shattered expectations. So lastly was the funeral and where they this was the quiet area where Hazel processes grief and of course she eventually finds the acceptance in this place. So to explain and to briefly introduce you the literary techniques, it will be explained further by Arjoy Ravas.
Next slide, please. So now we're going to tackle about the styles of the story The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. The story is written in first person point of view, which means we hear everything directly from Hazel. This makes the story feel personal and lets us understand her emotion deeply. John Green's style is a mix of humor and seriousness. Even though the characters face illness and loss, they use jokes and cope with to cope, creating a bittersweet tone. Then the author also uses symbolism like Goose unlit cigarette, which represents control over something that can hurt him. Another symbol is the Book of an Imperial Affliction. It reflects Hazel's fear of an unfinished life. So this novel is also includes strong literary devices like metaphors, wherein in some lines it is some infinities are bigger than other infinities. Also, it has irony when Goose dies before Hazel, and foreshadowing through Goose increasing pain.
Green also uses vivid imagery, especially in the Amsterdam scenes, to help us visualize their experiences. Overall, the style is emotional, meaningful, and relatable because it combines deep ideas with realistic dialogue, making the story engaging and impactful for young readers. Next slide, please.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the cultural impact of this novel made. Okay, so first was the stigmatizing illness. So basically, this novel encourages readers to see people with illness more empathetically and without stereotypes and norms. So it creates a open space or safe space and understanding view of what it means to live with a serious conditions. And the second impact of this novel was the youth representation. Of course, it is important to have the representation of the youth, which it gave a powerful voice to teenagers dealing with serious illness and showing young people that face difficult realities with honesty, humor, and emotional depth. So it expanded what young adult literature could talk about, inspired many young adults. Okay, so to conclude this, I'm going to give the floor to Cheriebell Matulac.
Thank you, Miss Miles. So, in conclusion, The Fault in Our Stars help show Hazel and Augustus' struggles, growth, and moments of happiness. Each place they go help us understand their journey and remind us that even in hard times, there can still be love and meaning.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to our genre analysis. So that ends our report. Thank you.